Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about 8 ways that musicians can make money in 2021. Now, it's no secret that in 2020, the music industry, along with a lot of other industries, was hit by the COVID-19 pandemic, and any concerts and live events were cancelled. I personally know a lot of musicians who have had to get creative with how they earn money in order to keep going. And although 2021 could be the year where things start returning back to normal, there will still be a big role to play for the use of online. So having said this, here are 8 ways that you can make money online and offline in music in 2021. Number 1, teaching. Now this is one of those that you can do both online to anyone around the world, but also you can do it offline in your local area. There are many sites where you can offer yourself as an online teacher, such as Music Tutors, Tutorful, Lessonface. And this one's a little bit of a game of marketing. As you can probably imagine, music teaching is a competitive field, and the idea here is that if you can get yourself in front of as many people as possible, then you are likely to get students from that. This means making yourself as Googleable as possible and being at the top of any list of teachers in your local area, and also being at the top of any list for online teachers for your subject. The good thing about teaching is that you bring in students at a steady pace to start with, but then you may get recommended by your current students to other students, and eventually you end up with a nice amount of students. And if you do a good job, then you end up with these students for a long period of time. I would also recommend, if you want to go into teaching, then set yourself up a website and make your name as available as possible online. As I said, most of music teaching is actually marketing, and that goes for a lot of jobs in the music industry. I own a music school, and most of my job, other than actually teaching, is marketing other teachers and marketing the school in generally, so that when people search for instrumental lessons, I'm the first one they find. Number 2, submit songs to royalty-free sites. Now this one's an interesting one because this might be something you've heard of, it might be something you haven't heard of, but a lot of creators, especially here on YouTube, use music within their videos all the time, and they usually get their music from sites such as Epidemic Sounds, from MusicBed, from Artlist, and these sites have the other side of the platform, which is designed for artists. If you are someone that makes music, then you can get paid by uploading your music to these sites and then creators choosing to use the songs. The way that these sites varies on how you get paid, so you may get paid an upfront cost or you may get rolling royalties. But if you are a song maker, it's definitely something worth looking into, and I will leave the links to some of these sites in the description. Number 3, putting your work on Spotify, Apple Music and other streaming services. This one is probably the most obvious, and it's probably one that you've already considered. Streaming services now are perhaps the number 1 way in which people consume music. So having your music on these services increases your chances of getting visibility, and I believe you get paid depending on how many people listen to your tracks. Now the way to actually get your music on these streaming services is to use distribution websites such as TuneCore or DistroKid, and there are lots of other ones out there. I will also leave these in the description. Most of these distribution websites work on a subscription model for a year. Some of them have a yearly fee depending on what you want on, either an album, a single, a ringtone, or some of them just have a standard subscription for everything. Having said this, it is important to know that this is also a game of marketing. Putting your music on these streaming services is a long-term endeavour. It's not likely that you're going to get millions of listeners overnight, and a lot of the time, initially, it relies on you directing people to your music to listen to it, before you build a following who will naturally want to listen to your music. Number 4, being a session musician. This one has become more difficult in current times due to COVID-19. However, later this year, hopefully, music will be able to go ahead again and this will become more possible. I think this is one of those ones where there's actually more of a misconception about how to become a session musician. Session musicianing, more often than not, relies on networking. If other artists or events need musicians, then they're more likely to rely on those that are trusted by the musicians that are already there. There are session musician agencies out there who can put you forward if someone is looking for a musician. However, the best way to approach this is to just get yourself known among musicians. There are Facebook groups, there are other musicians locally, and they are the ones to ask about any work that's going on. Along with this, you can also offer yourself as a session musician on websites such as Fiverr and Upwork. These sites tend to be quite saturated, but nevertheless, they're always good to get yourself on there. Number 5, social media. This one pretty much applies to everything on this list because that's how the world works now. However, it's such a large category, I thought it warranted talking about on its own. Social media is the best way to find musicians, music teachers, or anyone else in the music industry. And it's kind of essential, if you are in the music industry, to be on these platforms. Places like here on YouTube are a great way to get yourself out there, or advertising yourself on a Facebook page, or constantly putting content out on a dedicated Instagram, are all great ways of eventually earning money. As a teacher, this is also a great way of building trust because students will always look at your playing before inquiring. And as an artist or a musician, it's a great way of just building a following. Number 6, creating a course. Courses are a competitive field because there are thousands of courses out there, especially in creative fields such as music. However, the potential gain from creating a course, from passive income for years to come, is too much to ignore. There are plenty of websites that offer the ability to create courses, and I will also leave some of those in the description. However, if this is something that you're interested in doing, I would try and do it in a fresh way or look at something else within the music industry. I would also consider building up an audience on social media beforehand because these are the people that are most likely going to purchase a course from you. Number 7, gigging. Now this one unfortunately is where the music industry has been hit the worst by COVID-19, and it's one of those things that it's very hard to do without being in person. Fortunately, it looks like this may return in the near future, so it's worth adding to this list. If you are part of a band, a cover artist, or you have a lot of original work, then gigging is a good way of making money. There are lots of venues who actively look for artists to play. Having said this, I think the best and most lucrative way of approaching this is by organising your own events and building up a following. And if you're not in a position to do that, then there is always busking. Busking is a very good way of improving your overall artistry, and it gives you a lot of practice. And number 8, arranging and transcribing music. On the face of it, this one sounds easy for anyone that's interested in music theory or composition. It does come with a bit of a grey area though. The idea here is that you find songs that people are interested in playing and you can rewrite them out for solo piano or for a brass band if you really wanted, or anything that someone may purchase. The grey area here is copyright, and it's always important to get the relevant licenses when dealing with other people's music. That not only goes for arranging and transcribing, but it also goes for performing other people's music as well. If this is an obstacle that you're willing to overcome and get the relevant licenses, then this is a very good way of making money, because there are lots of sites out there that sell sheet music, and if you pick the right songs, you could earn a lot of money from this. As you can see with all 8 of these, a lot of them require networking and marketing, and that is just the music industry in general. If you do try any of these 8 things, or you've tried any of them before, then let me know about your experience in the comments. And if you found this video useful, then hit me with a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.